Sirens, Slammers, and Service, a podcast for female first responders by female first responders. My name is Nikki Clucci, and I will be your host. As a former correctional officer in Alberta for almost 2 decades and the founder of Blue Line Fitness Testing, which provides law enforcement fitness testing and first responder wellness workshops, I started this podcast as a way for female first responders to share the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of their daily work. I want to showcase the unique perspectives, skill sets, and personalities that women bring to a first responder career and share their stories. So get ready to laugh your ass off, learn a whole bunch, and be inspired by some pretty badass women. Let's go. Welcome back, guys. Today we are joined by, seriously, I'm so excited about this interview, you guys. It's going to be fucking rad because we're talking shit I know nothing about, and I'm so pumped to have Robynne Hansen with me today. Robynne Hansen is an air weapon technician. Fucking rad title, with the Royal Canadian Air Force. She's based out of Cold Lake, and she's been with them for 10 years. And I had the absolute pleasure of meeting Robynne through another one of our previous guests, Chris Zentner. She was one of our wildfire firefighters. Her and Robynne have been friends for years, and we ended up getting together for a girls' weekend, and I got the chance to meet Robynne and fucking fell in love because she's a rock star. Said she had to be on the podcast, and I finally got her on. So welcome, Robynne. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good, thank you. Played rugby against each other at some point too, Nikki.
Did we?
I'm
Did we
I'm
never talked
pretty
about
sure
that?
we did.
I don't know if we ever actually broke that down. Maybe we did because you were with Lethbridge, right?
I don't know if I actually played any games. Well, I did play some games with Lethbridge, but it was more like when I was up here in Cold Lake. When I first got here, I'd started playing. I don't know if you ever played the Penguins.
No, I don't think we ever did. I feel like
Okay,
maybe
maybe
we
not then.
did, but maybe we didn't. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe we did an exhibition against them. I didn't think Cold Lake had a female side.
We did for a little bit, and then numbers dwindle. So
Yeah, as ever happens, especially in transient towns like Cold Lake and Fort Mac and Grand Prairie. Those clubs always struggle for sure. But that's so cool. And yes, Robynne is again a badass rugby player. So I don't know if my listeners are picking up on the theme of all of these really fucking cool people that I've had on my podcast, majority of them play rugby. So I mean, there is a correlation between being a badass playing rugby and being a first responder. I'm just gonna
absolutely.
throw that triangle out there. Okay, so Robynne, so legit. So we talked a little bit when we had that weekend and we were able to kind of hang out and stuff. So I knew kind of what you did, little bit of your background, but I really don't know your full story. And just hearing your title, air weapon technician, dude, that sounds fucking so cool. I'm just what's my title? I don't have a very cool title like that at all. So tell me, how did you get into this? How did you get to where you are? 10 years, that's a long freaking time.
Yeah.
And walk me through kind of the journey into where you're at, and then what some of the day-to-day things you get to do as an air weapon technician.
All right. So obviously in the military. So, well, my whole family was in the military, mostly the British side. My brother did join for a bit. Well, he went through school with the Canadian Forces. But yeah, my parents were in, my brother was in, my grandparents and stuff were in. So that's kind of what made me want to join. So joining the military, the first thing you have to do is you have to go away to basic training. Most people go to Saint Jean, Quebec, where the mega is. It's like a repurposed jail, I guess. And we stay there. We used to stay there for 13 weeks, and it's been cut down a lot now because, we're trying to get people in, and that's a deterrent, I guess, is the basic training. But yeah, you go through 13 weeks. The first 5 weeks is basically just, how do I word it nicely? It's a big game. They will try and break you down, and so that they can bring everybody up to the same standard sort of thing. So
Mhm.
we have to learn how to polish our boots, how to iron your DUs, which is your fancy dress uniform. You learn all the rules within the military, the different hierarchies, your rank structure, all of that jazz. They even teach you how to tie your boot.
Oh.
That's how basic we go down. But yeah, you do that. You've got your whole crew, like your whatever, your basic course. You guys have to work together for those 13 weeks to get through whatever trials and crap they put you through in order to become soldiers, I guess, because we are soldiers first, even though I'm Air Force. Then next, we move on to your trades training. So most of us get sent to Borden. Other trades will get sent elsewhere, but for the Air Force, that's where our school is. So the school is called SIFSATE. I cannot remember what that acronym stands for, but basically any of the air technicians, that's where they're going to go and learn their trades, the basics of their trades. Our course, I think it was 3 or 4 months long. And then you have some prerequisite courses that you have to take. So we've got, or we used to, they don't have to anymore. We had Common Core and BEAT, which is basic electrical. So Common Core is learning about all of our paperwork, learning about how to use specific tools, because some people come into this line of work and they've never actually touched a tool. So you get down right to the basics on how to use them efficiently. Then you learn your basic electrical, because you're going to have to do pin-to-pin tests with our job, and other trades will do more, but we don't do too much electrical. Then, yeah, you do your trades training, which we call our threes, our QL threes. Like I said, that was about 3 to 4 months. And you learn all of the basics about our job. So we can work on different fleets, different types of aircraft. So you have to learn about all of them, even though you might not necessarily work on all of those types of aircraft where you get posted, but you have to learn the basic. Once you do that, you're going to move on to, you're going to get posted basically to wherever you're posted to. So you pass your threes, you're posted to your base. And for myself, that was Fort Wayne Cold Lake. Originally, I was posted to 409. And as soon as you're there, you hit the ground running and you're on the job, just shadowing people, helping out. Basically, you're their bitch because you're not really allowed to do the work, but you're following people around. You're getting used to using the tools. You're getting used to being around the jet. They're showing you, how to do the job properly and efficiently. Then you have to go on your AGYS, which is your servicing course for the F-18, because I guess I should mention, I work on the F-18s. That's predominantly what we do here in Cold Lake. And yeah, so you learn how to service them. So you're fueling, you're marshaling, you're towing, you're parking, you're checking them before flight, after flights, all of that sort of jazz. Once you're done that, then you're back to your squadron. You're getting more on the job training because we have what's called a logbook that we have to get filled out. So there's different aspects of our job that we have to hit a certain amount of time or see and do a certain amount of times before they'll allow us to go off to our like actual trade training. We also have to go around the base and see what other people within our trade are doing. So different shops. So I was first line, which is you're working at a squadron that is operational. You're going to be do servicing. You're going to be loading the F-18, configuring the F-18. You don't actually fix the systems that you're working on. Those are sent to second line. So we have to go around and work in the second line shops to get an idea of how they do things and how the job works on their side of the house before you can be sent away for your QL5s, which is your trade training. So I got sent to Baggetville. Now I'm actually teaching the fives here in Cold Lake. But yeah, we went to Baggetville. It was 3 or 4 months again, I think, maybe less. And you're just doing more on the job training, but more specific. So now you're being taught the nitty and gritty of the systems that we're working on. And then you're going out and you're doing practicals of putting those systems up, taking them down, functioning them, making sure they're working good. And they're basically just making sure that you understand what you're doing and what you're working on. And then when you get back, yeah, you're considered a POM, which is performance of maintenance. So you can work on the jet unsupervised. You just can't sign off that work has been done in accordance with airworthiness. That's another level that you have to get. So it's called level A's. And I think it's 2 years after your POM that you can apply for your level A's. So you're going to do some testing and then you're going to do an interview with like one of the higher up at our squadron. They're going to make sure that you understand like what your roles and responsibilities are and how important like airworthiness is. So basically that's making sure that you're doing your job in accordance with the work package that you've been given so that you can send this jet out and it's safe to fly. Because yes, you know, it's military equipment that's on the line, but the biggest thing is the pilot's life that's in there, and then also anybody else's life that might be affected by a crash sort of thing. So yeah, that's level A. So that's where I'm at now. I'm a level A now, so I can sign off work as being complete and in accordance with airworthiness. So I can go out, I can do a job, and I can sign it off as good, and that jet is good to go flying after my maintenance has been done. What I do now, well, I jumped from 409 Squadron. When they split to 409 and 401, I was sent to 401, which was good because it ended up being the Gucci Squadron. So we, we had a really, really good chain of command, whereas the other guys that were left behind did not. We were the ones that would have like a pool party on the flight line while the other guys are stuck there working late. So yeah, I worked at 401 for like 6 or 7 years, and now I am at our school teaching those fives packages or the second line courses to new technicians coming through the base.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, wanted to pop on here before we got into this next episode and let you know about a couple new rad ideas that we have for the podcast. So, the first one is we have a survey up, and I would love to know what you guys think about the show. I'd love your feedback. I'd love your ideas for the next season. And I just love to know what you like and what you dislike about the podcast. And I'm going to sweeten the deal with a $50 gift card randomly drawn from everybody that completes the survey. The survey is going to be in the show notes of all of our shows. So no matter what time you start listening to the podcast at, you'll get a chance to win that gift certificate. The second thing that we're bringing in now is the ability for you guys to leave us a voicemail. You guys can actually call into the show, leave us a voicemail, let us know what you think about the show. If you have a funny story you'd like to share from your time as a first responder, I would love those and showcase those on the show as well. So make sure you guys check out that voicemail feature. It's going to be in the show notes, and check out the survey. Make sure you get that chance to win that gift certificate. I am like, just my mind is reeling. I have so many questions, but like,
I went
wow.
really like broad so that you could ask some questions. Do you want to explain sort of like what we do as air weapons tech?
Well, so I want to take it back a little bit just because I have like a couple different questions. So I love, so coming at this from a family, like from a background family, we always say you either get into these careers like because of that, either you wanted to do it for forever, your family's involved, or you're just one of those people that are like, sure, let's fucking give her a shot. And I love that you tell me that there's a course on how to use tools properly, because some people have never used a tool, right? My husband runs a shop, and he's like, I swear to God, I need to make this fucking course for these kids that are coming in, like how to actually use a hammer, how to actually use a drill. He's like, because oh my fucking God, the amount of things that get wrecked because people don't use them properly, right? So I really love that. So when you were growing up, like was it like that you just wanted to be in the military, or like, you know, in the Air Force, or was it specifically that you were like mechanically inclined, I'm really drawn to like this, like doing work on the jets?
So originally, I actually wanted to become a combat engineer because I wanted to blow stuff up. Or I wanted to be a door gunner because, well, watching my dad, first of all, like, he was a combat engineer. So that sort of stuff really interested me. And then as I got older and was back into the military life, living with my hubby, I got to see a whole bunch of different trades. And the door gunner trade, like after watching videos, seeing people in Afghanistan, because I got to go to Afghanistan as a civilian, I just wanted to be a door gunner. I wanted to sit up there and just go like shoot the shit out of whatever I needed to do, or blow up bridges, like whatever it was. But when I went to the recruiting center, both my husband, because he was an MP and had to deal with a lot of files from the combat trades, and then the recruiter were like, absolutely not, you're not going combat eng. And I'm like, but I want to. They're like, nope, too smart. And my hubby's like, I've dealt with way too many like assault files of females in the combat trades. No, I don't want you to do it. And I'm like, well, it's going on my papers. If I don't get these other trades that I am interested in, I want to be this. So we'll see how it goes. I was also interested in nursing because I don't know, I guess I like helping people, but I realized that like as a medic and in the military, you're not getting to do as much of the fun stuff as say a nurse would. It would be more, we call them pecker checkers, and you can edit that out if you want to.
No, I'm not editing that out. That stays in the podcast.
So yeah, I didn't want to become one of those. So that was another reason that I changed my mind. But yeah, so I got told as air weapons techs, you can become a flight engineer, you can become a door gunner. That all ended up being a lie, but I really enjoy my trade anyway, so it's okay. It's very physical. I'm a physical person. I played rugby. I like to throw people around. I like to be active. So, I thought it'd be a good go. And that's sort of why I got here. My parents were trying to get me to not go into the military initially, and then they were hounding on me like, you're the only one in the family that doesn't have a service number, like when are you going to join, blah blah blah.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I ended up joining, and being over in Afghanistan as a civilian actually like solidified the deal. Like I really wanted to join, so here I am.
So yeah, okay. So I was gonna go elsewhere, but because you brought it up, that's a great segue. So tell me about this. Like, how did you get into Afghanistan as a civilian? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. So I didn't know that it was even a thing either. I just knew after my hubby went away for his like workup training, because he was going on tour with Roto 10, I think, for Afghanistan. And he was learning about the fact that there's Tim Hortons like store there, a Canuck store there. There's gym staff, travel coordinators, and barbers. And so I was like, sounds like a Gucci go. I'll look into it. And I was working. Was I working at the Canucks then? No, I wasn't. I wasn't even working within D&D or PSP, whatever yet. But I just saw online that it was a thing, and then started like researching and applied online. And out of 1,000 people, I got picked for like an interview. And then from that, we get sent away to workup training before you do go to Afghanistan. So they're teaching you everything from like how to recognize IEDs, what to do in hostage situations, learning about the like what sort of things you might encounter there. It's like a really, really, really condensed version of what the guys get when they go over to Afghanistan, more the admin side that they would see, like PowerPoints and stuff. But we did get to do some fun stuff. Like they taught us how to like check for mines and stuff, like poke in the ground. We had to do little interesting things that could possibly have happened to us while we were over there. But yeah, it was all through PSP, which is like personnel support services. Anyway, I applied through them, got picked to go, and I was a Timmy's worker or a Canucks worker. So slinging coffees for the guys, because we were just there to provide morale for people deployed overseas. We do it at other operations as well. It's not just Afghanistan, but that's happened to be where I went. Like I went twice. And so you're working Tim Hortons, you're working the Canucks, you're voluntold after hours to, like for functions for the troops. We're just basically there to make their lives a little bit better while they're kind of in the shit, because it's not fun being over there. It's sandy, it's gross. The guys outside of the wire have it absolutely awful. So yes, a little bit of home, away from home is what we were doing.
That is freaking amazing. I cannot believe I didn't even know that existed. Like, how awesome is that there is like that little bit of home. There is that little bit of like normalcy, right? Like, I'm gonna go get a double, like, okay, and it's an actual double, like that's awesome. I really think that's so cool. And again, like, what a great like path for civilians that are thinking about this as a career to kind of get their feet wet without getting fully like, oh fuck, now we're going away for 13 weeks of basic training. So that's freaking awesome. I love that. Okay, and so then to go back, so when you're getting into your training, like, you must have been one of the only females that were kind of following this path. I feel like this would not be kind of like a very female full role, but I could be totally wrong. as you kind of move through this? So like what did it look like as you kind of went through, like, you're saying you're doing your basic training, and then you're doing your air tech training, and then you're doing your like specific F18 stuff, and then your your fives and things like that. So as you go along each stage, like what's that ratio look like, or female to male?
So I think we had 60 some candidates on my basic. We ended up graduating with like 20 something or something like that. Like a lot of people dropped out. But
Wow.
for girls to guys, I think we maybe started with 10 to 12 girls and we finished with 6. So yeah, it's mostly male dominated. Like obviously the military is trying their hardest to get more females in, because we do recognize that we need more females. We need that different thought process, the different ideas. Like it's beneficial. So yeah, it's hard. You have your female standards and your male standards. I hate that. I like to strive to get the male standards, because I want to be able to do my job the same as any other guy. But yeah, you lose a lot of females like at the start. First of all, one, people don't realize like it's a game, and that they are going to basically just shit all over you and try and make you feel like crap. So they break you down and build you up as a team. So a lot of people drop out from there. Fitness wise, I hate to say it, but a lot of females, back when I joined, it was still push-ups and stuff, and they couldn't do push-ups. So you get a certain amount of chances before you're like, no, you're kicked off. You either have to go to a platoon where they build up your fitness, or you're just kicked out, or you VR, like you voluntary release because you don't want to do it. But the girls that did finish, like it was a solid group of girls, and we were like pretty tight. Still keep up with them now, even though we're posted completely opposite sides of the country. And then so going to Borden, definitely a lot more females in the Air Force trades than like Army combat trades, I would say. When you get into like clerk and stuff like that in the Army side, which is like, we call it a purple trade, because it can be Army, Navy, Air Force, it doesn't matter. Yeah, like admin sort of things, there's a lot more females. Medics, there's more females. Air Force, I wouldn't say there's more females than there are males, but it's more than there is in the combat trades. But then when I went to my threes, I was the only girl on my course, and there wasn't many other female armors before that. It's pretty like small amount of female armors for sure. Get to my base, and there was 2 female armors, me and the new girl. Then there was, when we split to 401, 409, 401 had me and another armor female. And I don't even know if there was any other female techs. It was fantastic at the start, because like we would get our own toilet, like we had no issues. Like it was great. And then we start to slowly get more and more girls, but they were in the other trades. I think I've only ever worked with 3 or 4 girls on a crew, as an armor. There's definitely more now, but it isn't a very physical trade on the first line. So there's definitely more men than there are women.
Yes. Okay. And so then kind of rolling from that. So like you're working on the F18. So basically what you're telling me is you're a Top Gun. And you get to put the earphones on and wave the magical sticks and bring them in and do the things, right? Is this what, like, let me live my fantasy? Is this what you're doing? Please tell me you're doing this.
Yeah. And the funny thing is like, well, one, I have never seen a full movie of Top Gun, which is rare for Air Force people, I guess. But yeah, I know. I didn't watch it back when I was younger, and then I tried to watch it now, and I was just like, oh, this is so gross. I can't watch it. I want to watch the new one because I hear it's better. But like as soon as I saw the bathroom scene where he like walks in after her and like trying to pick her up, I was like, oh.
You just have to get through. You just have to get past that. You got to get past that. It is so good when you get past that part. That part is cheesy as shit.
Yeah, it might also be because like I know pilots, I know what they're like, so I'm just like, look, like whatever. anyway, yeah, we play that song with like the Danger Zone song.
Yeah.
And the movie is always on in the canteen. I would like at least once a week, I swear. But we play that song over the speaker, like the PA in the hangar when it's a pilot's like last flight or they're being posted out, something like that. It's hilarious.
That's
They seem to
awesome.
love it. So they'll be walking out and we'll have it like Danger Zone playing. And then when they come back, it'll be playing and they'll spray them with the fire hose, all that jazz. So yeah, it's good fun. But it's the same, like that's basically what I'm doing. I'm on the ground, marshaling these jets, I'm sending them for flight. So I'm out there starting up the jet with the pilot, making sure everything's good, and then sending him on his way. When he comes back, I'm either, if I'm an armor, I'm disarming the plane, and then we're marshaling them, parking them, checking them, and getting them ready to go up to fly again.
So you must have to have like a pretty good relationship with the pilots in that like they know you, you know, like not, you know, like just in that trust of like
Yes.
they are literally putting their lives in your hand and hoping and trusting that you
Yeah.
know your shit, which again, I'm after you're telling me all these different courses you've gone through and now like, you know, your A's, so you can
Yeah.
certify thing, your level A, right? But like there must have to be a little bit of that personal relationship where you're like, you know, hey, this is this pilot. I'm sure there's probably pilots that you think are fucking dinks, which is just natural. But like that you really are kind of like, yup, like I'm on my fucking A game because this guy's
Yeah.
going up and I need to make sure that everything is good. And he's on his A game because now he's in the seat and you know, and it's
Yeah.
go time and we're going up in the air. So like kind of break that dynamic down for me a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, they're humans too, right? Like most of them, some of them are like the same age as us, younger than us even. So like they get, yes, they are an officer, so technically they're higher ranks than us, but they understand that we're the ones that are fixing those planes or breaking those planes. So if they want a plane to fly, you got to treat your techs good. So the good pilots know this and they look out for their techs. Obviously, they have to trust that our training is sufficient enough that we know what we're looking for when we're checking those, like the planes, but we're also signing that we have checked those planes. So if we miss something, that's on us. Obviously,
Right.
there's like way bigger issues that can happen, like, you know, accident, crashes, stuff like that if we do mess up. But yeah, there's usually a good, I don't know, dynamic between the pilots and the techs. A lot of times we'll razz on them because they always want to fly and their flying schedule is kind of annoying to us and our schedule. But when it's good, it's really good. The pilots, they look after us, we look out for them, and like things just run smoothly. And they when I was back in Romania, one of the pilots was like, I always know if things are good between the techs, like if you know everybody's happy and having a good day, if Robynne is dancing while she's like starting our jets or parking us, because we're out there for quite a while, like, and you're standing there and you're waiting for the pilot to figure out everything they want to set up in the plane, and then you're waiting for the first engine to start, the second engine, like it takes quite a while, and you can't really hear anything because you got your ear pro on and the jet is loud. So I got to do things to entertain myself. So I'll be dancing around, I'll be making funny movements for like all of our marshaling and, you know, hand signals that we give them. We try to have a laugh with it, and that's, I don't know, it makes work fun. If you're not having fun, then it becomes a job, right? So
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I love that you're just dropping like, oh, I went to Afghanistan, went to Romania, went to like, where have you been? Like, where are all of these places that you've been?
okay, so I haven't got to travel as much as I would say I wanted to since being in the military, but yeah, went to Afghanistan twice as a civilian, then got into the military, and my first TD, where did I go? It
What
was
is a
Texas.
TD?
Oh, it was fantastic. So temporary duty. So
Okay.
with the Air Force, it's cold up in here in Cold Lake, and a lot of times when we get snow or the runway is like super icy, they'll miss waves, which is like when they go up and fly. And so they'll lose quite a few hours flying during the winter. So a lot of times, what squadrons will do is go south or go somewhere where it's warm so that they can get more flying in during the winter months. And so, yeah, my first TD would have been to Texas, which is a temporary duty to Texas. So we went down for a month and a bit and took our planes, The pilots do exercises with other nations. They're practicing their dog fighting. Yeah, flying around, making sure that their proficiencies are up so that we're ready to, look after our mandate here, which is NORAD. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah,
Very cool.
Texas was my first one, and I got to go up in a backseat flight there, and that was the most amazing experience of my life. It was like your favorite roller coaster times 1,000. Supposedly we hit 7.6 Gs on one of the turns, and that was unreal. Like I was stuck to the seat, like you're just like trying to breathe. I was really hungover because I wasn't supposed to fly that day, and we had all gone to like NASCAR, which was bring your own booze and food, which was fantastic. And then we went out that night too. So I was really hungover and I wasn't supposed to fly, but my chief was like, "Hey, you're going up today." And I was like, "No, I can't. I'm sick," like because you don't want to tell them that you're hungover.
Yeah.
He's like, "No, you look fine." I'm like, "I'm just really dehydrated today." Like he's like, "Yeah, I don't care. You're going flying." I'm like, "Okay, yep, no problem." I didn't want to screw anybody else over, like have them miss a flight because I decided not to go. So I just sucked it up and I dry heaved the whole time because it was so hot. Like before we even closed the canopy, I was like dying in like 30-degree heat, like hungover, like trying not to puke, but like hagging. But yeah, he let me like throttle up when we were taking off. Obviously, he took control for the actual takeoff, but I was able to taxi the jet to the takeoff point, the runway, and then yeah, we're up in the air. He let me fly. I didn't realize that I was flying at one point because I was again trying to puke into my sick bag. And I kept hearing something in the radio, and I'm like, "What is he saying?" So I like stopped for a second. I was like, "Pardon? Like, what was that?" And he's like, "Level out the plane." I'm like, "Dude, I didn't know I was flying. I've just been puking for the past 5 minutes." Like, okay. So level out the plane. And yeah, because he was dogfighting, like he, I guess, saw the enemy force and was like, "Sorry." And that was the last thing I heard before I was like, oh, like stuck, trying not to pass out, trying to breathe through it, do your whatever motions you're supposed to do. My G suit's filling up. It was super fun. Yeah, then we flew our mission, and then the rest of the tour was like I was just up on cloud 9 because I got to fly in the back of an F18. But so I've been to Texas, I've been to Comox. There's another place. Oh, Miramar, California.
Oh, cool.
Romania, Inuvik. That's it for me. But other people have gotten to go like all over the place, like Scotland, Germany, Romania, all over the States, all over Canada, Italy. Yeah, there's some Gucci goes. Like the good thing about being in the Air Force is that we have pilots and they're officers and they like to live fancy, right? So
yeah,
there's a saying like the Army like is guided by the stars. I can't remember what the Navy one is. Maybe that's the guide one. Anyway, the Air Force picks their destinations based on the stars of the hotel. So we always have a nice go. And I always listen to my husband's stories of his exercises. And when I went on my first exercise, I guess Florida. So I went to Key West as well. I went to Key West and I got off the plane and I was handed a tall boy. And I was like, this is nothing like what Dan explained my exercise would be like. Like he's been lying this whole time. So I called him and I was like, what is this bullshit about how hard Army exercises are? Like this exercise isn't hard. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I walked off the plane and they handed me a tall boy and he was like, fuck you, and like hung up on me. Like, get out of here. I don't want to hear about that. But yeah, that's the places I've traveled to: Key West, Miramar, Romania, Texas, and then yeah, that's it within Canada and Nunavik.
That is freaking rad, dude. I love it. My ultimate favorite is you dry heaving in the back.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
And so we have oxygen bottles in the jet, obviously, like because you're up high, you might need it. And well, it's liquid oxygen. You start with like 10 liters. Usually it's 9 or 8. And it depletes obviously as you use it, but you can put on 100% oxygen if you're not feeling good. Well, I had like 100% oxygen on the whole time because one, it's nice and cool, and I was hungover, so it was helping my hangover. But we went from like 8 liters of oxygen down to like 2 within a couple, like an hour, and that doesn't usually happen. And so the pilot had to tell me to turn off the oxygen because I was using too much. Yeah.
He's like, so if we're actually hitting an emergency, you've just like fucking wrote our death certificate. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, so take me back then. So now walk me through, like, let's get a little bit more specific into kind of like, breaking down what you do. Like, what does a typical day look like? You get to the base and you're doing what?
Okay, so you come into your squadron at 7 a.m. and I don't know if the world knows this, but our jets are really old, so they leak like crazy. So every morning you've got to come in and you've just got to clean up the hangar floor. So you're underneath the jets, you're throwing down Absorball, you're collecting all of that nasty fuel and hydraulics, and you're just making the work area safe. And then you're going to go to your desk, like your supervisor who's running the desk, and you'll find out what the flying program is for the day. So how many jets they need. And if you're on servicing, you're checking those jets, you're getting them out on the flight line, and you're getting them ready for the first wave, the first at whatever timing you have to send these jets up in the air. And that's just a general, all techs do that. Air weapons side, if we have any weapons requests for any of the flights, then we've got to do our convoying to go and get those weapons so that we can load the F-18. So first things first is, do we have anything to convoy? So yes, we'll go out, we'll either convoy missiles, training missiles, bombs, bullets, chaff and flare, which is your countermeasures, and you'll bring that to either the flight line, like the short line, or a designated loading area, depending on like what you're loading. So lives, you have to be in certain areas. Dummy bombs and stuff like that can be done on the short line. So then, yeah, you're doing that. Once you know what jets are getting loaded, you're going to just go out with your crew, your load crew, and you're going to load them. Usually it's a 3-man load crew. So you've got your crew chief and then your 2 wingy drivers. But a lot of times other people will come out and they'll help carry like our chaff and flare buckets, get us tools, blah, 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 stuff like that. If you're not loading, then you're finding out what sort of jobs are coming up or what jets are unserviceable, and if there's anything that we have to do on our side of the house to make them serviceable. So for us, that's configuring the jets. So putting up pylons on the wings or on the belly so that we can carry stores, either like bombs or other launchers or luggage pods for the pilots, golf clubs or fuel tanks. So we'll be putting up fuel tanks, taking fuel tanks down, putting up the pylons, taking them down, configuring it, functioning all of those things that we put up, making sure that they're working properly. Or we will be working on snags. So we've found that something is either due for an OSI, we take it off and we go to put something else on, but something's not working. And so we have to try and troubleshoot what is causing that item to not work anymore. And takes a lot. And same as in law enforcement, like everybody thinks that the fun stuff that you see cops doing is like most of their job, but really the paperwork side takes up a heck of a lot more time than you would expect. The same goes
Yes.
for us techs. Like you do a job and then you're there doing paperwork for a while. And my trade is pretty lucky. It doesn't usually take as long, but some trades, like their paperwork can take hours. So yeah, that's what we do on the first line. So we'll be servicing, or we'll be an armor, we'll be loading, or we'll be working snags, which is fixing broken jets or getting jets configured in a way that the pilots want them. This other side to my trade is the second line. So the shops that I was talking about, they will be working on the equipment that we send them that is no good. So say one of our bomb racks isn't functioning properly, we'll send it to them, they'll take it apart, they'll check it, make sure that all the parts are there and everything's functioning as it should, put it back together and send it back to us serviceable and hope that it's working. So you've got the rack and pylons, so they'll work on our racks and our pylons. We've got the launcher shop, they work on the missile launchers. And then we've got our gun shop, which works on our massive gun, which is the best part of the plane. And they're doing like out of sequence inspections. They're fixing any snags that they have, any jammed guns, all of that jazz, and bringing it back to us at the first line so that we can make the jet serviceable. There's the bomb dump guys. They like build up bombs, put together our ALS, which is our ammunition loading system. And so they're putting bullets in there for us so that we can load the jet. They're putting together missiles. They're fixing missiles. They're inspecting and testing missiles and bombs. And yeah, that's that. And then we have the EOD side, which is the real reason why I picked this trade was I could still do explosive ordnance disposal as an armor. So that was like, yeah, this is the trade I want. Then if you're not going to let me be a combat engineer, then I'll go armor because I can blow stuff up still. So we have an EOD team, which basically at our range, a lot of times like bombs won't go off properly. They don't function properly. So people have to go out there and render those weapons safe. And so we have trained people. They first go to CMD basic. So they're learning all the different types of munitions they might find, how to identify them, the safeties that you have to do with them. They can go up and do the more advanced training for that. They can become IED operators. Yeah, there's tons of stuff that can happen within our trade. And that the EOD side of things is basically the only transferable thing other than being able to use tools and having, military structure so you can follow orders, blah, blah, blah. But that's the only thing that would really translate over to city side is the EOD side of things.
This is so cool. Like just even hearing all the different like munitions and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, I never thought about that being on the plane and that being on the plane and that being like, wow, like
yeah.
So cool. So cool. And so I would assume too, and I meant to ask this earlier, but like I would assume too that you're working on, I mean, not you because obviously you have your special like specific role, but that there's also helicopters that are being worked on. There's like smaller planes. There's like,
So in the Air Force, like we have lots of different planes. Our trade is just more specific to the fighter jets, but we do have different bases that you can get posted to. And yeah, you're either going to work on helicopters or you're going to be doing a more EOD role. I'm not sure if there's anything for us to work on the bigger fixed wings, but it's mostly helicopters and F18. I guess the Aurora, like torpedo loading and stuff, but you just don't do as much with them. And that's why I didn't want to go to the coasts because the work is way less. Like the tempo is really slow compared to the F18 world where it's like go, go, go all the time, But yeah, you can be working on different types of aircraft. It's just your role is a lot smaller than what it is with an F18.
So is Cold Lake the only place where the F18s go?
Nope. So we also have Bagottville. So that's the other tactical fighter base, I guess. So Bagottville has a couple squadrons. We have 2 tactical squadrons, or they were 2 tactical. One just got turned into a maintenance squadron until we get to the F-35s. And then we have a 410, which is also the pilots squadron. So it's a tactical squadron. Main role is to train up the pilots on the F-18. So once the pilots are done their training in Moose Jaw and whatever aircraft they use, they come to Cold Lake and they work on the Hawks, which is also going by the wayside now. But then they go from the Hawks and then they start in the back of an F-18 until they're proficient enough. And then they start like in the front with a teacher behind them. And then they eventually are able to fly on their own.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Where is Bagottville?
Quebec.
I feel like I should know this as a Canadian, but I do not.
I don't know if Saguenay area. I didn't know it either until I got in and found out that was a place that I could go. And I was like, no. I don't speak any French. Yeah.
You're like, I would like to not choose there, actually.
Yeah. But when I went there for my 5s, I kind of wish I had gone there because it's beautiful, minus the fact that they don't really like English people there because it's very small town French area. But it's gorgeous and the beer is so cheap that like it would have been a way better go Alberta and not as cool.
I love it. Priorities, work-life balance.
Whoops. Oops, I probably shouldn't have said that. No, I don't care.
It's true. It's true. Okay. And so now we're into this training role. So like, how did that kind of like come about? Was it something you were interested in, or was it just like, they kind of were like, you are very smart and you know your shit and you're going to be really good at this. So we're going to voluntold you to go over here.
Oh, no. Okay. So you don't like necessarily always get to pick your postings. I got injured, like my knee is kind of buggered and I've been trying to rehab it for a while. I've had a surgery now. It's just not getting better. So I volunteered to go into, at first, before I moved to the school, to a tool crib. So that's where we have to control our tools, because if you lose a tool on a job in an F18, it now grounds that jet because it could potentially FOD the aircraft, which is like foreign object damage, but it could kill a pilot. It could kill a tech, So we have to have tool control. So I volunteered to go into tool control because one of our guys was being told he had to go there and he was like really not wanting to do it. I said, my knee is buggered. I might as well go there. It'll give me time to rehab my knee and then I should be able to go back on the floor. Well, my knee isn't getting better, so I'm not really able to like do the loading that I would need to be able to do, because it's like a lot of heavy lifting on the first line. So I came up for promotion. They were like, you got to go. You've been at the squadron for like 7 years, new people. Where do you want to go? And so I said the school, I said other places. I heard of a position coming up at the school. And the guy that coordinates all of our trade, he was like, yes, I think you'd be great for this. Like, let's do it. Let's get you in there. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I've always loved teaching people, and I find that I learn and retain things way better when I'm teaching people. So I was kind of excited, nervous a little bit, because I hadn't been on the floor working for like 2 years while I was in tool crib. But the proficiency starts to come back after a while. And plus I get lots of opportunity to teach people how to do it. So I've got to do it perfectly there and follow the work package anyway. So yeah, I guess it was more of I fell into the position kind of perfectly versus getting cherry picked. I don't really know. Like, I can do my job, but I can't do the loading side of my job. So I can't go to first line. So they figured, yeah, try teaching, see how you like it. I love it. It's a change of pace too, which like I've been doing first line for so long, and it's been go, go, go. And since COVID, it's just gotten like really bad because we're really short staffed and we have a lot of broken equipment. So we're doing more with less, really. And so it starts to, mess you up mentally. So it's nice to have a good change of pace.
Yeah. I think that's a key thing for any first responder career. And we talk about that, right? The ebbs and flows of the career, and making sure that, if you start to feel yourself getting into that bitter,
that's where I was at. I was really bitter. Yeah.
Or the complacent, right? Because that's the other part of it, is we don't want to get complacent. We don't want to be that person that's going to then, like you said, leave a tool and not really give a shit that you left a tool. Like, that's not, that's definitely not something that we can have. So I'm glad that kind of worked out for you, and it just kind of fell into place. And again, I always say, like, things always happen for a reason, right? The universe puts things in our way and then guides us. And we, as long as we don't fight it too badly, we'll usually come out all right on the other end. Right.
Absolutely. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I know that we're running out of time, and I know you've got your daughter to take care of and things like that. So I don't want to hold you for too long, but I want to kind of break down into some quick kind of rapid fire questions. I love to ask these for all of my guests. But before we jump into that, is there anything that you wanted to share kind of about what you do with our listeners, or like if you got, you've told me some freaking glorious stories. Like, I can't even, we got pecker checkers, we've got like danger zone, we've got dry heaving in an F18. Like, there's some gems here, but
there's lots of good stuff. Like, it's a male dominated trade. So like, I'm working with guys, so you've got to be able to take, the gross guy stuff you wouldn't really have if you're just working with girls. But I love that stuff. I'm a rugby player, so like, guys will try and like be gross and think it's going to bother me, and I'll do the exact same stuff back. So like, they'll be farting and look and laugh and stuff, and then I'll just go over and just fart right at them, like they're like, oh, what the hell, like. So that side of stuff is fun. The loading, like, it's heavy work. And like, in Romania, I had a really good crew. It just made my time there so much better. Like, having those guys that I could rely on, joke around, they're making fun of me, I'm making fun of them. And because it's heavy lifting, a lot of times guys don't think that girls can do that sort of stuff. So having guys trust you that you can do that heavy lifting and you can put in the same amount of work and effort that they do is like, I don't know, I like that feeling. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed loading with the guys. I don't know, funny stories. Oh, I don't know if you'll be able to use this one. Well, anyway, so, you know, I had a good crew in Romania and we've worked together for a long time already. And so laughing around, playing around on the jet, and we're trying to configure them. And so we're putting up a fuel tank, and they're big. Most people think that they're the bombs, but they're actually like external fuel tanks. So they're massive things. We mostly like lift them on with a dolly, but you do have to do some like hand lifting with them sometimes, which is heavy, but like and awkward. But you know, you working with your guys, you make it work. And this one guy, he was like, Robyn, have you seen this? And I'm like, what? Seen what? And he's on the other side of the fuel tank. And he's like, right here, can't you see it? Like, there's something wrong with the fuel tank. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I look, and he's got his ball sack sitting on top of the fucking fuel tank. And so anyway, I thought that was hilarious. Like, obviously we can't do that sort of stuff nowadays. We get in a lot of trouble. But these are the stupid things that people would do. They call us knuckle draggers because we're armors. We like to eat bananas. Live to load, load to live. Like, that's our motto. We just seem to have a lot of fun, but we also have a lot of like crazy guys that get in a lot of trouble. That's the stuff that makes it more fun, I guess. Like, I push the boundaries. I'm never going to do something like that, obviously, but I don't know. It's such a funny dynamic when you're working with guys that trust you that you're not going to, like, you know, get them in trouble for stuff. Like, but they know that you can take jokes like that. It makes it a good time. It makes it a really good time.
No, I definitely, I feel that deeply, because I was the same. Like, the guys that I worked with would be like, they would forget that I was a girl in the room, and they would be like, you know, talking, and then they'd turn around and they'd be like, oh, sorry, Nikki. And I'm like, why? Like, I don't fucking care. Like, it's funny. Like, I get, like, I actually, like, I agree. You are correct about that, about women. Exactly. Like, yes, I agree. Right. Like,
you know, like, and again, in Romania, I keep going back, but that was like my biggest tour, I guess. There was, when we're in the QRA, which is like manning our quick reaction jets, you have to stay in a compound because you have to be available for the jets to go up like within minutes. And so we sleep together. As a girl, you either get your own room or you have to bunk with another girl, sort of thing. But we had this trailer of like toilets and then showers. And I was the only girl on shifts, so I didn't really like switching it so that it was only female bathroom, because then nobody would be able to go to the bathroom. So I would just leave it. And eventually the guys were just like, oh, whatever, it's Hansen, I don't care. You'd have the odd like pilot or officer that would come in and see me washing my hands, like after going to the bathroom. They'd freak out, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to be in here. And I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit. Like, I just took a dump right next to he didn't care. And I remember even one morning I'm showering, like obviously there's a screen over, so you can't see me, and I'm not just gonna go out naked. But like one of the guys comes in and I was like, hey, don't worry, it's just me. And he's like, oh, wait, Robyn, is that you? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, then I don't give a crap. I gotta take a dump. And then I'm showering, he's taking a dump. So like, yeah, you get to be one of the guys, and I way prefer that.
Yes. I completely agree with that. And the other thing that I was going to ask you about, so you say like male standards and female standards. So is that in basic training? Like there's different like requirements or different?
Yeah, there's like different physical standards. So now it's all been redone, and we do what's called the force test. But yeah, now they base it on your age and your gender. So it might be a little bit easier for females to hit, say, so we have different tiers. You have bronze, gold, and platinum. So platinum being the best like score that you can get. And it's just easier for a young female to get like platinum versus a guy of the same age. And I couldn't I couldn't understand it myself to figure out why. But yeah, but then when you go into like our load training, I have to be able to lift the exact same missile as this guy. And it's like from my shoulder up onto the wing. So I would just rather aim for the male standard than female standard, you know, like now it's not like say set out. Whereas before, like it was like females had to get this many push-ups and males had to get more, you know. Now it goes by like a whole bunch of different things that the PSP staff figure out. But yeah, The loading, it's the exact, I'm lifting the same stuff as the guy. So whether or not I pass the female or the male standards, doesn't matter. I've still got to be able to lift that missile, and the guys have to be able to trust that I can lift that missile over my head. So
Yeah, I feel that way too. For me, I'm
yeah.
like, I just want to be the equal, like
Yeah,
equal and
exactly.
able to do the same thing. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up with these rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So let's start with the first one that I always ask all my guests. So while we are loading F18s and waving our little air traffic controller things and fixing things, what is your favorite food or snack to eat while you're kind of on shift or working?
Granola bars while I'm working, because we can't fog the jet, so you can't have too many things, in your pockets. And yeah, they do crumble, but granola bars while I'm working. But like lunchtime, my favorite thing is spaghetti. Absolutely, because I get to sit down and
Yes.
eat it. But yeah, like, any food really, but yeah, spaghetti is my favorite at work.
Yes, that is good. I mean, like it's a definite you need to have the time and you need to be able
Yeah,
to sit and enjoy it. Like you can't be yarding spaghetti in your face. I mean, you can, but it's a disaster.
yeah,
Right?
exactly,
So
exactly. Yeah. So when we have the time to sit down and eat, I like spaghetti. But a lot of times
yes.
it's like you eat when you have time, and so like pocket snacks are my favorite thing.
Yes.
Anything I can put in my pocket and eat while we're either driving down the flight line, eat while I'm waiting for a pilot to come out, like random stuff I can
Yes.
just pop in my mouth.
Yes. Okay, good. I like it. Okay, second one, and because you get to use so many fucking cool things, this might be hard to narrow down, but like what is your favorite piece of equipment? And then you cannot default and say the F18 because that's just a fucking obs. But what is your favorite piece of equipment that you get to use or get to play around with or deal with on a daily basis?
So we have what we call an MJ. It's like a bomb loader. It's basically a condensed forklift. So you have like a square that you sit on, and then out in front, there's these two arms that have like a hydraulic table at the end. And you can either lift your tanks, you lift bombs, missiles, pylons, racks, like whatever. But that thing you can rip around on, and it's really fun. The old ones were really, really fun to drive, especially in reverse, because some reason they go faster in reverse. And like it's super bouncy. So like it kind of hurts the boobs, when you're bouncing down
Yeah.
the flight line. So you got to
Yeah.
have a good sports bra, but they're really fun to rip around on. And when it's icy, it's even more fun because they slide lots. The newer ones, the four wheels turn, so it's a little bit more sketchy. But yeah, the old MJ, the bomb loaders, those were really fun to rip around on.
That's cool. You're like, yes, let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And the last thing I'm going to ask you is, if you know somebody that was looking to get into this career, what would be like a piece of advice that you would have for them, or something, like to avoid some of the challenges you may have
Yeah.
faced in your career? What are you telling a new person that's coming into this role?
Get fit and get strong. You need to lift weights. One, because if you're on the flight line and you're loading, it is physically demanding. And if you're going out there trying to do that stuff without having any sort of weight training background, you're going to get injured. So you need to strengthen up. It's a very male dominated trade. So you're going to have disgusting conversations. Maybe not as much anymore because people are getting more careful about it. But you're going to be around gross guys, sweaty guys. You just got to suck it up, be one of the guys. You're there working, they're there working too. But also, like, don't stand for any gender specific bullshit. So, like, on our performance evaluation, I had a supervisor try and say that I wasn't a team player because I took maternity leave. And he also tried to say that because I went to physio during work hours, that I was unreliable, which is bullshit because I go to the military physio and it's only open during their work hours. So anyway,
Mhm.
so that sort of stuff. And yes, there is sexual harassment, but like I know it's highlighted for the military right now in the media, but I also know that that shit happens everywhere. Like I've worked
Yep.
with way better guys in the military, and yes, I've had some shitty guys, but I've had way sketchier teachers that are like, well, one of my teachers was caught with child porn. So like there's
Mhm.
crappy people in every line of work. Obviously know that that can happen, but don't stand for it. Don't like stand up for yourself. Don't cater to this patriarchal BS where they're like, oh, you're being aggressive and you're a bitch, blah, blah. No, I'm assertive and I'm telling you like what's what, because you need told that. Like, sorry that I'm standing up to you. Don't let people walk all over you because you're a girl. You're going to have to keep proving yourself, because there's still dinosaurs out there that think that women can't do the same as men. But you can throw it in their face when you accomplish something. So yeah, just get fit. One, for basic training. I know it's easier now, but like, get fit for training, continue your training. Like, just because you come out of basic training and you're nice and healthy, continue working out, because so many people just gain a ton of weight when they get to their base and give up on any physical fitness. But like, as a armor, as a loader, you need to be fit or you're going to get injured. So yeah, and then have a good head on your shoulders. Don't take any BS.
I fucking love that advice, because I totally agree. I think, usually as females coming into these careers, we are more of a, usually a type A. We're usually a little bit more ballsy, like you can't really come into this career. And I'm always shocked when I meet women that are not like us, that I'm like, why did you, I'm like, why would you choose this career? Like, do you know what you're going to like set yourself up for? Like, okay, well, this is not going to end well. Right. And you don't want to say that to them because you don't want to crush their dreams. But I'm also just like, but holy fuck, let me save you a whole bunch of pain and heartache. And like, let me tell you right now, this ain't for you. Right.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And you know what? Like, some girls that surprise me, because I work with a few that are like bombshells on the outside, and I'm like, how were you just in uniform loading like that, and now you look like this? Like, so yeah, there's ones out there can do it, but I definitely have said like, this is not going to work for you. You're not going to make it on the first line. Like, you just won't.
But I like the fact, like, stand up for yourself, because that is something, like, I do see that happen, is that especially as a young, like new staff coming in, because they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to, like misstep or say the wrong thing to the wrong person and then make their journey fucking even harder. Right. But I think there's also that fine line of like, well, it like, again, if you're being bullied at school, if you don't stand up for yourself, they're just going to fucking keep going. Right. Exactly. And when you clap back and all of a sudden they stop and go, oh, fuck, like this chick's not going to take it. Oh, all right. Like, sometimes that's a little test for you too, right? They're testing you to see, are you going to break? Are you going to fucking cry? Are you going to go whine to the supervisor? Right. Like, so, I mean, owning your shit and being, and standing up for yourself, 100% agree with that. I do. I think that is a great piece of advice.
It's way better now. Like, we've had a lot of like negative press, in the media for it. And so a lot of changes have come, and like, things are way better, but we still have those dinosaurs that will think the same way. Like, when I first got in, I was like interviewed by my warrant and my sergeant, and he was like, they were like, we've got this problem guy. Like, if he's an issue, you just let us know and we'll deal with him. Like, to me, I'm like, if you know he's a problem, fucking deal with him now. Like, why am I having to go through something for you to then fix it? But yeah, I would have, like, we had to have our hair up in a bun back then, or in a braid. And so I had my hair in a bun, and he came over, this old guy, and he was just like pushing his finger into my bun going, oh, I'm fingering your bun. How do you like that, baby? And like, I let it go the first time. And then the second time I was like, oh, fuck no, we're not doing this again. So I just turned around and I just like slapped him as hard as I could on the ass. And I was like, oh, you like that, baby? And like, he was a sergeant, I was an aviator, and he did not know what to say, but it never happened again. So
yes,
probably a professional way of dealing with it. No, but he was lucky it wasn't across the face, I guess. So, like, I just stand up for yourself. That's all I can say.
Yes, that is fantastic. Because sometimes that's what it takes. It takes us turning around and being like, fucking absolutely not, before it's like, oh, that was, I overstepped my bounds. I was unaware that I did. And you're like, oh, believe me, you fucking were aware.
I think we need more guys to stand up to guys like that too, because that seems to be the only way that they actually listen and learn, is like, oh, you males don't think this way, like, I think guys need to, but women need to do more of like, no, actually, I'm not a bitch, I'm just telling you what's what, because what you said or did was inappropriate or rude, and you don't need to talk to me like that. If I was a dude, you wouldn't say that, so F you.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, my girl, this has been absolutely, I knew this episode would be fucking fire, but this is like, it's been amazing. Like, I mean, like, again, just even all the things I've learned, like, that's why I love doing these like episodes and talking to females like you guys, because it's just like, I'm like, I had no idea this entire industry existed, that there was all of this different stuff that went into it and like all the different things you can do. So, like, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing even just that basic knowledge. But thanks for sharing some of the greatest stories. Like these are hitting on the top. These rank up there with, I don't know if you've listened to the episode with conservation officer Alina Monk, but oh my god, she tells a fucking story about getting a duck out of an outhouse, and that one is still leaderboard ranking as number one as one of the funniest stories. So you'll have to listen to that episode. It's fucking it's gold. But these ones are pretty good. I mean, dry heaving in the F18 when he's like, yeah, you got the plane right, and you're like, no, I've just been vomiting for 5 minutes. Actually, no, I do not have the plane. So yeah, no, it's been good. So thank you so much for sharing all your time and energy with me today. Again, we'll throw your information in the show notes if people want to get a hold of you and ask you some questions. They can either reach out through us or maybe reach out directly to you. But it has been a treat. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep fucking kicking ass and taking names and keeping our country safe, because I greatly appreciate the work you do. So thank you.
I thank you as well. It's been a treat.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in, listening, giving me your time, your energy, and your attention. I completely appreciate it. Make sure you check out our next episode with another badass female first responder anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at bluelinefitnesstesting.com. I hope you stay safe, keep your head on a swivel, and watch your six.